Face Off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quan LX and Big Angry Adams. Ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face Off on Fox Soul starts right now.
It told you she was gay. It was nothing. I mean, she still can't bring her situation to our house. My daughter is grown.
Well, why? She's grown.
Because I don't want it to contaminate her other. It's a generation we raised. I don't want her to get to contaminate it to her other 6, 7 sisters who look up to her. I want them to bring me grandchildren the right way.
Yeah, Boosie crazy.
If I want grandchildren the right way, that's what I'm going to stand on. If I don't want my other little girl to look at that and say, what's that, Daddy?
Contaminated.
To somebody she looks up to, it's not going to come around. My grandpa didn't let it. My daddy didn't let it. And I didn't let it.
Oh, because you just took your daughter's car. Oh, you took her car. She said you took her car because she painted in pink. Well, you brought her car.
No.
She turned it black and you took her car.
No, I took her car because her mama sent her up there.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
All right, Quanell, what we had there was Boosie, Lil Boosie, Boosie Bad A-word, talking on the podcast Carisha Please, explaining to the host that his 22-year-old daughter, Ivona, who goes by the moniker Poison Ivy, is not allowed in his home for fear that her lesbianism may, and I'm quoting, contaminate her younger siblings. Now, Marlon Wayne has come out and condemned it. Obviously, we talked about him on the show a while back for his advocacy for his trans child. But Poison Ivy, the daughter in question, actually clapped back on social media. Do we have that clip, Matt?
Everything in my power to understand that this is my father, regardless. Like, I'm going to accept him and love him for who he is. So, I just seen he recently did an interview with Carisha, and he used the word contaminating. And putting my siblings in it with that. If you know me, this shit make me so mad. If you know me, I love and respect my siblings with everything in me. And they respect me and love me with everything in them. When you getting on their nerves, I'm who they call. My siblings, most of my siblings, teenagers. Teenagers you don't want to let grow up. But okay. Another thing. You keep speaking on me gay. You keep doing interviews and I don't say nothing, right? The first ever interview you did, you said you found out I was gay, that I like girls and I had a girlfriend from a picture that went viral. That was a lie. I let that slide. I never addressed it. You found out I was gay a year before that. The incident happened in Jamaica when I was a gay B-word, when you called me a gay B-word. So if the world really knew all the things and the hurtful things you told me before and I forgave you, you wouldn't even understand.
I thought that was incredibly powerful. That was Poison Ivy, Boosie's daughter, talking, I think, incredibly respectfully. You know, she began the segment talking about how much she loves her father, and then she talked about how much she loves her siblings and how they reach out to her when her father, who is not allowing them to grow up, and they have conflict. Boosie famously, a couple of years ago, engaged in a sexualization of one of his tween boys, exposing him to allegedly naked women. This is a guy that you're an incredible hip-hop artist, but not a particularly good person. And you could feel palpably the pain that he was causing this child, and I'm disgusted by it. And not by her, but by him.
I first want to say that I congratulate, I applaud, and I absolutely uplift the respectful manner that Boosie's daughter chose to publicly address her father with her displeasure and discomfort about his words. You did a great job, young woman, not attacking your father. You did a great job of not feeding social media and feeding the haters on internet who don't give a damn about you or your father, some fuel that they could use to further separate the two of you. And I would want to encourage Brother Boosie, at the end of the day, you have a right to disagree with her lifestyle. I can completely understand that, dear brother, because he also said that he was not religiously raised that way. And so obviously he's leading on his religious background and religious upbringing of why he chooses not to accept that lifestyle. Boosie's daughter also has to understand that her father has a right if he chooses to accept it or reject it. And if she wants to live that lifestyle, you have a right to live your life, but you don't have a right to bring it to your father's home. And so if you want to live that lifestyle, then live it, but you can't bring it to daddy's home. That's the same way if you have a father that finds out his daughter's a porn star, and he says to his daughter, I know what you're doing, but you can't live that life in my home. You can't bring that to my home. And then she says to him, well, why? Because I'm afraid you'll poison your siblings' thinking. Well, guess what? That father has a right to reject that lifestyle. The same way his daughter can say to him, since you don't accept my lifestyle, you're not welcome at my home. They both have to accept that they both are grown, and they have a right to accept or reject whatever they want to in their home.
Obviously, he has a right to do it. It doesn't make it any less disgusting, though, that he's doing it simply because he's allowed to do it. Here's the thing. Boosie routinely brings strippers and prostitutes into his home. He puts it up on a video, on social media, on Instagram. This is a guy that has an outlandish, outsized presence. He's looking at federal charges in Southern California. He's had a tremendous amount of interactions, negative interactions with law enforcement. He's been imprisoned, right? But this is a guy.
But what does that have to do with a disagreement about a sexual orientation with his daughter?
We have all of this immorality and bad conduct over here, and what he's worried about is contaminating his children with his older daughter's sexuality.
What you have to say
when
to Brother
maybe
Boosie,
he should be worried about all the other crap and recognize that gay people are born gay, and it's not immoral.
But that's not what
as
God
long as
says.
she's not behaving
God did
immorally.
not say people are born gay. People are not even born straight. People are born as they are, and they learn the behavior based on upbringing and environment. Charles, let me say this.
And that's my point. He is exposing his children
has to not be a hypocrite.
Actual harm.
He can't be a hypocrite. That's what you have to say. You can't morally say you reject something on moral grounds on this end, but then the things that you're doing with your other children and sons is morally reprehensible according to your own religion, because he based off his own religious belief. Well, according to your own religious belief, Brother Boosie, what you're letting your son see you do, your other children see you do, is moral hypocrisy. So you can't condemn one sin without condemning the other sins also. So you got to be balanced in your critique, dear brother, but that is your daughter. And I would hope that you and your daughter can sit down behind closed doors in private and work together on this. Now to Mr. Wayans. Mr. Wayans, shut up speaking publicly on Brother Boosie.
Man, that's insane.
Pick up the phone and call Brother Boosie and speak to that brother before you say something publicly. Don't talk about another man's children or another man's home when you have the ability to call that brother and speak to him.
Boosie is the
if you ain't gonna call me and speak to me when you can get my number, shut the hell up.
This behavior of yours is just your homophobia looking to ratify Boosie's homophobia.
No,
Marlon
you don't
Wayans
have the courage to tell the truth.
Do
you believe that God is homophobic?
No, not at all.
Well, then shut up, you hypocrite. Be quiet.
Because the liberal left won't let them do it. The liberal left wants to destroy them, and they want to destroy our country. You know, if you had one day, like one real rough, nasty day with the drugstores as an example, but they have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. Mike, would you say, he's right here, it's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
Charles, we just watched a video of former President Trump speaking at a rally, speaking about if he became president, pretty much, using the analogy that he would allow the police to do what is necessary to purge the American society of crime. And maybe if they could get like 1 hour, just one day to have complete, as he would say, immunity to purge our society of crime. He's speaking to his root of his base. He's speaking to millions of Americans in this country who feel that crime is out of control, so he's playing on their fears, and he's pretending as though he's going to be so tough on crime they have nothing to worry about. But what I don't like what he is saying is that he's speaking about like of a purge, the movie Purge. But Charles, what the president fails to realize is he's using code language to black and brown people. Because where's this purge going to take place? He's not talking about white neighborhoods. He's talking about purges taking place in black and brown communities. And what that gentleman fails to understand, the president, the black and brown community are so well equipped with firepower and warfare mindsets, what many suburban whites have called hell, they call home. There's so many damn gangs and drug gangs in black and brown communities. They're so well armed, it ain't a damn thing the police could do if they decided to, quote unquote, have a purge. Because trust me, they're more well firearmed equipped gang members and street thugs in every American city than police. So that wouldn't benefit police at all.
So of course you had to take a shot at suburban whites. What do suburban blacks that live in gated communities and $1 million homes, what do they think?
He ain't talking to them.
Oh, okay.
He's talking to those. He's talking to those areas where crime is out of control. He's talking about those areas where crime is flourishing and it's going unchecked.
I'm asking you. You characterize the white perception from suburbia.
When you watch the movie Purge, all of that purge took place in the inner cities.
About the black?
It didn't take place in the rich affluent neighborhoods.
Right. So as somebody that lives in a gated suburban neighborhood with $1 million homes.
No, mine is not gated.
Okay.
Mine is not gated.
Okay.
It's on 12 acres.
Okay.
But it ain't gated.
It's surrounded
Since you
by,
think you know what you're talking about.
Surrounded by a gate.
No, it's surrounded by my security team.
Yeah, exactly.
Who lives on premises with me.
My point is, you talk about a lifestyle that you demonize a lifestyle that you enjoy, which I find to be peak hypocrisy.
And that you white folk didn't give to me.
No one, I didn't say I did.
Whatever my lifestyle is, not a single white man can stand up and say, I gave it to him.
Ain't nobody gave me a penny.
See, because you make Negroes and you break Negroes. I'm that Negro you can't break. Because you didn't make me.
The point is,
I was made by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
And you condemn them when the truth is you enjoy them. But let's stay on this topic here. Now, Trump, he was talking inappropriately, right? The federal government can't go in and take over police departments in cities and states. It's, you know, that we have a system, a federal system, and we have states' rights. Now, there's criminal procedure, there's constitutional protections. But I do think he is absolutely accurate in the fact that let's talk about San Francisco. You know, Kamala Harris used to be the district attorney there, and San Francisco went from being one of the most, if not the most beautiful city and a tourist destination, one of the most beautiful cities on this side of the planet.
Even black folks running from San Francisco.
It's turned into a hell. And it's turned into a hell because they said that police reform meant no longer enforcing a whole laundry list of victim crimes. Where I think law enforcement reform is no longer putting young black and brown men in prison for a usable amount of drugs. I think that's insane. But I don't care if you stole a piece of gum or you stole $1 million. And we need to put more handcuffs on the corporate rate thieves. But all of those people,
ain't gonna touch them. They make campaign contributions. They ain't gonna touch them.
If you are wagging your piece around in the street, taking a dump on the sidewalk, you need to go to jail. What we need to do is start you know, people say broken windows policing doesn't work. Of course it does. If you arrest everyone that is spray painting buildings, if you arrest everyone that's peeing on the street, if you ever arrest everyone that's taking parks away from the children that were designed to play in it, instead making it a drug den where they poop and piss everywhere, everyone that shoplifts, everyone that assaults people. We have people walking, New York City, one of the most, it's got cameras everywhere. I've got my daughter's best friend got randomly punched by a man walking down the street.
And we have
the capacity to go find them and arrest them.
And we have to tell the truth.
Let's focus on victim crime.
Under Rudolph Giuliani, but Adolph Giuliani to me,
Why?
New York was much more safer.
Right.
New York, the streets of New York, he actually cleaned it up.
Right.
And crime was at an all-time low. And now that we have more liberal, quote-unquote, mayors of New York,
de Blasio drove it into the toilet.
Out of control.
De Blasio drove that city into the toilet. And man, we can talk about.
But it's not just New York. We talking about L.A., Houston,
right?
Chicago, New Orleans,
Detroit.
There's so many. We can call the roll, man. And what is happening is we have leaders, in particular of the Democratic Party, who are willing to do everything and anything for anybody's vote. They cater to anybody and everybody, whatever you want. And now what we look like we have when it comes to crime is a lawless society, and one particular party that says super easy on crime and one is too tough.
That we need to start enforcing criminal laws again.
We should enforce the laws.
All cops should do. Cops shouldn't be prohibition agents. They shouldn't be revenuers.
But I disagree with them talking about a purge. I got a problem with that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He doesn't say things
because if he gonna purge, why don't you purge Wall Street first?
He doesn't say things in a presidential manner. He's a problem. Kamala's policies are a problem. Some of his policies are a problem. But damn it, we need to start enforcing the law again in this country.
In today's Face Off, Up.
And lives were lost. Now the families of the victims are demanding accountability, not just from the person who committed the murders, but from Gascon himself.
It's devastating, honestly.
Nearly 5 years ago, Cynthia Carrera's brother, Alfredo Carrera, and his friend, Jose Flores Velasquez, were murdered in South Los Angeles, simply because they were standing in a rival gang territory. Both men were not gang-related. Alfredo was about to be a father, and Jose was a student at UCI who had just accepted a job with NASA.
This was a cold-blooded murder, and it wasn't just one person. There was two people here that innocently lost their lives for no reason.
17-year-old Shanice Dyer, a member of the East Coast KRIVs, was charged with premeditated murder by District Attorney Jackie Lacey and was set to be tried as an adult. That changed when George Gascon took office in 2020.
The public needs to know what's going on.
Michelle Hannessy is the president of the Association of Deputy District Attorneys in LA County.
One of the many blanket policies that he dropped the day he took office was that no crime committed by any juvenile ever, no matter what the circumstance, would ever be fitnessed to adult court.
Charles, we just watched a video that gives us our F-up of the day. Miss Shanice Dyer, a gang member from Los Angeles who murdered two brown Latino brothers in cold blood, and it was premeditated murder because they were in a gang's territory and they thought they were rival gang members. Obviously, that's what the story says that we just watched. She's truly the F-up of the day, but wait, I think more than her. I think the district attorney, Mr. Gascon is his name?
George Gascon.
He's got to be
He's the F-up of the day.
F-up of the day.
That's all right. Yeah, I didn't know where you're going. She's a scumbag murderer.
I'm going to switch this one.
But he's the, look,
yeah,
this guy.
I agree with he's one.
This guy was the DA in San Francisco, right? And implemented all this reform that just meant victim abandonment, like we were just talking about. Then somehow he goes down to Los Angeles and gets elected there. Like, what is wrong with these people voting? And he takes over.
What's wrong with folks in California, huh?
Day one, he says, I'm not going to prosecute any teenagers as adults no matter what they do. And we have seen horrifying murderers do a year, 2 years in detention, get back out. This is the worst example. She kills 2 people, gets up, gets out, and she's back out there killing. And it's disgusting.
You know,
it's
Charles,
terrifying. Where's the justice?
After being given a second chance, she is released on a second chance after double homicide, premeditated murder, and she commits another murder?
Because people don't.
This is madness, man. Yeah. Because he gave her a slap on the wrist.
And guess what? She's 17.
And
if
he sent her a message.
Current policies,
he sent her a message.
She's just going to get another little slap on the wrist.
And he sent all of juveniles a message. You can do whatever the hell you want to do.
Well, exactly.
And get away with it. Then the older criminals will say, hey, look, let's put the young ones up there to do it. Y'all ain't going to jail no way. You ain't going to prison no way. You do a few months, you get right out. Y'all put in the work. It's really sad, man.
That's exactly.
And so, yes, he's definitely F up of the day. Him and her, both.
The conversation I've had with Los Angeles law enforcement is that these gangs, like the East Side Crips and other, I mean, they've got, it's got the biggest, most robust gang system in the country there in Los Angeles, that they are having young kids commit the most violent of crimes and the most violent of robberies because they know nothing serious is going to happen to them. And that is liberalism gone wild.
I got a question for you, though.
Yeah.
Had this same young woman killed 2 white men standing on the corner for being in the wrong neighborhood, do you think that he'd been so lenient?
Well, his name is George Gascon, so I don't think he's driven by racial supremacy.
Do you think, has she murdered 2 white men, premeditated cold murder, and killed them like on the corner,
there was
he'd
a
have been
guy
so
that
lenient?
stole a car and ran over a baby, a white baby, okay? There, not a man, a teenager. There have been all kind of horrible crimes directed away. His rule is no matter what you do as a teenager,
I don't think he'd have treated her the same.
But it has, and that's just
I think he'd have prosecuted her differently, and he should have did it in this case.
Okay.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.